Bob Grace is a well-known to Pittwater locals and, of course, a former councillor for Pittwater. Briefly, thank you.
12 months now, from the 12th of May last year, Pittwater was moved. So it's been 12 months since that time, and I was speaking to a friend of mine about demerging Pittwater, and he said to me, well, what's the point of that? How can you demerge it? It'd be impossible to get it back. So I said, no, that's not right. I've discussed this with Angus Gordon, who was a former general manager. And he said, it's all electronic now, it won't take any time to demerge. I said, oh, thank you very much. And then I continued with my friend, and he said, the reality is we are merged. You can't do anything about it. We have to accept that. And I now say to him, and did say, we don't have to accept a reality, and I'll tell you why. The High Court recently, last week, granted leave for Wallara to appeal its decision. Now, that is going to the full High Court, and it was allowed because their point of view was similar to what Wallara was. So now we have Wallara off to the full court, and they are going to find in favour of the councils because they have refused it twice. The High Court now has considered it, and it took 5 minutes to say it's a proper matter to take to the High Court. So that's the first thing. The next thing is Ku-ring-gai. Ku-ring-gai 2 or 3 weeks ago won their case. The government, that disgraceful government, state government, had a chance of appealing that decision. They didn't appeal that decision. So the law is now the law pertaining to what Ku-ring-gai's judgment was. And what their judgment was that the KPMG report did not contain the full matters to enable the delegate to give an independent decision. They didn't have the assumptions, that was called cabinet confidentiality. They didn't have the background, they didn't have the data. So what the Court of Appeal said, how can the delegate make an independent decision when he doesn't have all the facts? And that was the reason for their judgment. Now, the other councils, Hunters Hill, Mossman, North Sydney, Lane Cove, Willoughby, they have all appealed the initial decision, and now they have made their case again, and the case is reserved. But it seems to me, the way I see it, is the 2 of the 3 judges who made the judgment in Ku-ring-gai's case, 2 of those judges are also on the Court of Appeal in all these other cases. So, looking at it that way, what do you think might happen? To me, it seems logical to assume that they will be successful. So now we have, first of all, Ku-ring-gai, a local council in its own right, going to an election in September. We have Wallara, which will be going to an election in September. We have Waverley, we have Randwick, we have Hunters Hill, we will probably have North Sydney, Mossman, all those other councils. By sticking up and taking action and not giving in, they will be going to an election in September in their own right. Not any other reason, just normal council. So, I now ask you, what about Pittwater? Well, you know Pittwater was merged. Sue Young and myself put on a motion that we take legal action. That motion was successful, so we were taking legal action. What happened, however, is the general manager, our former general manager, not Angus Gordon, but another man, he, on his own right, and without any discussion with anyone, and in conflict with that motion saying we take legal action, he sought an advice from a particular lawyer, a counsel, which, having seen a few of his opinions, you could almost believe and understand what was going to say. And of course, that opinion said something which enabled him to now bring an extraordinary meeting. This is with the then mayor, and they gave this extraordinary meeting a notice to the councils of 2 or 3 days. It was going to be held in the council chambers. They changed that. They knew 2 of the councillors were going to be away. So what they did was, first of all, they changed the venue. So it wasn't held in the normal chambers, it was held elsewhere. They never told anyone. One person appeared, one person, John Hillingsworth. How he found out, who knows? But no one else knew. So what happened was 7 councillors in all attended. Sue Young and I voted to maintain the litigation. 5 of them said no, and so we all folded and nothing happened. And that's the reason Pittwater didn't have the opportunity of being where all these other councils are now. So, what do? Well, we can roll over and say, oh well, it's happened, let's do nothing. Or we could do something else. Tell me, do you want to roll over and do nothing? No! Or we can fight. Do you want to fight? Yes! Well, that's my view. We want to fight because we can win this case. Suddenly, the door has opened. We are in with more than a chance. So, we're going to fight.